I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy.
And hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality. Today I'm going to be breaking down Donald Trump's statement to the world on March 16th that the US, or the world for that matter, is at war with an invisible enemy. And what does that mean? You know, most of you decoding out there know that when you see something in parentheses in the news headlines, you can decode that. But, you know, as you know, there's so many different numerology ciphers and so many people trying to decode that there's so many variations of what this invisible enemy could mean. Of course, forget the decoding, go with the opinions. Many people out there think that the coronavirus is nothing more than 5G. Is that really what's going on here? Well, that's what we're going to break down and find out. But, you know, I'm excited to show you this because this one here really blew me away. So if you're new to this, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much for coming back. I appreciate you very, very much. So here we go. The methods to decoding. Just follow along. It's like putting a puzzle together. And here are the methods. Number one, starting off, I use numerology. That's the science of numbers. That is the decoding of letters or words into numbers. Maybe you've heard the word gematria. We do not use gematria. That's incorrect. That's the coding of words into numbers. We don't do that. We decode. So I'm going to give you the example of using 5G. 5G, using this cipher, ciphers meaning a numerology cipher, Chaldean is the one I use primarily, is a 53, 5 and G. It's a 5 and 3. Now, a lot of people will use the number 8, and that's fine. You can do that. But I find that when you keep the numbers and letters intact on the singular basis, you get a better reading. So from a 5-3, we then go to the second level of decoding, and that is bringing in the ancient mystical art platform called the tarot. The 53 of the 5G in numerology matches up with the 53rd card in the tarot, which is called the Four Swords, or the Four of Swords. How I found that is through this natural lineage right here. All these cards are numbered. They're in specific orders. If you're interested in these graphics, just hit me up, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and I'll send them to you. The 53rd card's the Four Swords. The Four Swords. That's the second layer. And then the third layer is going to the cards of illumination. The typical cards in a poker deck or blackjack deck, there's 52 of them. They're very accurate when decoding and adding to numerology because these cards are embedded into nature. There's 52 cards matching the 52 weeks of the year. There's 4 suits matching the 4 seasons in nature. Highly accurate. And the offshoot is the tarot. So these are in no specific order. I jump around, but I'm just showing you kind of a natural lineage in this. So the Four Swords is the 53rd card in the Cards of Illumination. The Four of Spades is the match, the cousin match of the Four Swords. Swords in the tarot means spades in the Cards of Illumination. So the 53rd card becomes the 43rd card, and I got that through this natural lineage right here. And again, if you need these graphics, I'll send them to you, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. So you can start decoding. So 53 becomes 43. And then we bring in another layer, and that is alchemy. Alchemy is the blending of energies, primarily the elements of the periodic table. And you don't have to physically blend these elements together. You can blend together the numbers, the protons, and the atomic masses, the weights. That's what these are right here. And you can get definitives on what this matrix means. So keeping it very simple, again, we're putting a puzzle together, folks. Starting back over, 5G is 53. The 53rd card is the Four Swords. The Four Swords companion in the Cards of Illumination is the Four of Spades. That's the 43rd card. And then 43rd element is this element right here. 43rd element, matching the Four of Spades. And what's interesting about these elements are the little clues they leave behind in the Royal Society of Chemistry. So let me show you what I mean by that. Here is the website, the royalsocietyofchemistry.org/periodic-table. Extremely important when you're doing your decoding. So here's the 43rd element. It's going to look like this when you click on it. And notice it gives clues right here. The origins of the name. It's going to give a clue right there. And you can break that down in Greek. And you can decode that. But look at what it means. It means artificial. 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 And if you know anything about 5G, well, man made that, so it would be artificial. Would you not agree? So these are the methods of decoding that I have and I use. So here we go. Here's the presentation itself. Using just straight up numerology, invisible enemy is a number 47. Now we can decode it even more, 27 and 20, but I'm trying to keep it simple because I'm going somewhere with this. 47 is the total numerology of invisible enemy. That's what Donald Trump referred to it as. Keep in mind, it's 14 letters. The word Satan equals the number 14. But look at these connections here, folks. What equals the number 47? Kind of intriguing. White House, Washington, D.C., 47. When you say 47, that equals 47. So it's very powerful. It's a very powerful number because not all numbers, when you speak those through numerology, when you speak them through the spoken word, through the magic spells we speak, not all of them are going to look like this. When they do, they're super powerful from my research. But what is this saying here? What is this telling us? Does this mean that the invisible enemy is from these locations here? And they're just telling you that through the code? And that's who created it? It's possible. Let's look at it through the English. Here's another numerology cipher using the numbers 1 through 26, matching the A through Z. Invisible enemy is a 163. Going to numberempire.com, 163 is the 38th prime number. And then that's a direct match to the latitude of the nation's capital. Because Washington, D.C. is 38 degrees north, 77 degrees west, which that is massively significant, but I'm just showing you the 38 degrees north. From north to south, From top to bottom, from heaven to hell, it will be 38 degrees. And that's a 163, which matches invisible enemy. So you have a match here of Washington, D.C. with the 47 in the White House. And then you have a match here because 163 is the 38th prime and 38 is the latitude of the nation's capital. So here was the actual timestamp of this guy coming out with calling it an invisible enemy, which was on the 16th of March. It's right there. You know, no matter where you look, this is something. It's an invisible enemy. Now, I could have decoded that as well because it's in parentheses. You'll get an outcome for that. And if you know what you're doing, you can find significance with it. But the invisible enemy is where it's at. So there it is, March 16th. Why did he come out and say that on March 16th? And again, are they sitting down and deciding that they're going to choose that day to come out and say those words? It would have to be the most detailed conspiracy you'd ever seen in your life. That's why I'm telling you loud and clear, it is my opinion, that the game of life is fixed, it's rigged, and man is being used. They're being used by something outside of the physical realms of what we know as mankind. And here's another look right here, folks, bringing in theology into it. Invisible enemy equals 47, just like the word tetragrammaton. Now, if you don't know what that is, just pause this video and go type in Google tetragrammaton. Read about it. Take you about a minute. This is the ancient Israelite God of the Old and New Testament. Is that what they're referring to? Is the invisible enemy really what people call God? Because, I mean, this scripture right here in the Old Testament, Isaiah, the book of Isaiah 45 verse 7, I mean, I decoded this. Maybe you're not new to this. You've probably seen this. You know, I, the Lord, do all these things. I make peace, create evil. Form the light, create darkness. Doesn't matter what Bible you use. You just all have different words. It's all the same meaning. But nonetheless, is this what the invisible enemy is? Is it what people call God? That's creating all this death. It's up to you to be the judge of that. And here's where it gets really interesting, folks. Now, obviously, I got a rendition of The Wizard of Oz here, and what's really fascinating is the date that Trump said that we're at war with an invisible enemy was on March 16th. And since we're in a leap year, that would be the 76th day of the year. And that's a direct match to the element osmium, the 76th element. Like the Wizard of Oz. Does it have to be spelled with a Z? Phonetically, it's the same. Osmium, Oz, same thing. Osmium, Oz. It's spelled with an S here, spelled with a Z here, but they phonetically, vibrationally sound and look the same. How interesting is that, folks? And again, you know, I mean, what are the, I say this a lot, what are the odds of these things coming out the way they do? You know, so who is the Wizard of Oz? Well, it was this guy, if you've seen the movie, it was this dude right here behind a green curtain, which, you know, green is the heart chakra, the anahata. Green is linked to Jupiter, ruling the heart. And, you know, when they discovered this guy, they're like, oh man, he's just a dude behind a curtain. You know, trying to portray yourself to be this guy right here. But there's a guy behind a curtain, and here's where it gets interesting, folks. Really interesting. So we're talking about March 16th. is the day that Trump said we're at war with an invisible enemy. And that is the 7 of Diamonds card. March 16th is the 7 of Diamonds. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Check out this chart right here. And you'll notice this is the boilerplate chart. And when you look at March here and then you go down to March 16th, you'll notice it's the 7 of Diamonds. Your birthday, by the way, will be in this chart. But March 16th, the card is the 7 of Diamonds, which could be linked to the Wizard of Oz, since that's what he's speaking. And in what's even more interesting, another layer, is it's the 33rd card in the lineages of these cards. Imagine that. And you know, if you understand esoteric and you understand code and how they speak code, they use the 33 a lot. Nonetheless, it's the 33rd card, March 16th. And I'm showing this element here because it's a direct match to arsenic. 33. 33rd card, March 16th. We're at war with an invisible enemy. Well, arsenic is extremely poisonous at low dosages, right? No doubt about that. It's definitely poisonous. So what is this trying to tell us right here? Let's keep going. The 33rd card is the 7 of Diamonds, as I've mentioned. Its counterpart in the tarot, the 33rd card, is the Knight of Wands. So that's a direct match. Different cards, but direct match. But the match of the Knight of Wands, if you were to go back to the cards of illumination, is the Jack of Clubs. So we have 33 and 24. That's what we have in question here. And what's really fascinating is that when we say 7, that through numerology equals a number 24. So you see how the direct match is with these cards like that. Strong tie-ins, and not all the cards do that like this. Very strong tie-ins. And you know, wands, when we say wands, that equals the number 19. And that's kind of interesting because isn't that what they called it? COVID-19. Remember, man, the knight is the knight on the chessboard. It's the knight going into battle. And the knight, when you understand the move that it makes an L-shaped move on the board. It moves in an L-shaped format on the board of the chess game. Really interesting. I mean, even the letter J, you know, if you flip it and mirror it, it can really resemble a number 7. Let's keep going. When we use the digits of pi, the never-ending digits of pi, the 3.1415, the never-ending digits, notice through this website right here, Subidium, which is really awesome, that you can type in any number, it'll tell you where the position is in the numeric string of pi. Well, look where the 33 appears, at the 24th decimal digit of pi, and that's just what I showed here. So another layer, folks, just supporting how massive this decode is. Now I'm going to show you another layer. Now wait a minute, what has Lucifer got to do with this? Lucifer. What does Lucifer have to do with the invisible enemy? Could Lucifer be the invisible enemy? Well, I wanted to bring to this presentation to your attention because it could be a layer that is not to be ignored. The 33rd card, which is the March 16th date of when Trump came out and said we were at war with an invisible enemy. Well, the 33rd card, as I've already shown, is arsenic. Arsenic's only atomic weight or mass is this one right here, 74.922. And that's a direct match to the word Lucifer in the English ordinal numerology cipher. That's a 74. Now, if you've never seen this before, this is very esoteric. This is called Lucifer's sigil. It's a magic sigil. It's his kind of his brand, if you will. You know, Nike has the swoosh. Well, this is Lucifer's swoosh. And why am I showing this? Other than this here, I mean, you can see the tie-ins, the 33 and the 74. Remember, man, Jesus was crucified at the age of 33, and his name also equals 74. Why am I showing this? It's because of this right here, folks. This sigil fits right on top of this card, and it literally covers every single diamond on this card. I tried matching it up with other cards, and it just doesn't come out the same way as this one. This one is like almost perfect for Lucifer's sigil. I mean, it covers them all. And here is the X, as in the X in our chromosomes. So is this what we're the offspring of? I mean, we have the ego inside of us. We're always constantly trying to raise the Kundalini. I mean, Kundalini is tied to Lucifer. Lucifer's 28, Kundalini is 28. But here's what's even more interesting, folks, is that 7 starts off with the letter S, as in serpent, as in snake. And then 7 flipped, like it is on the card, looks like the letter L, as in Lucifer. Does it not? I mean, that's not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I mean, that looks like an L to me. Let's go a little further. Adding another layer into it, folks. This is the Native American medicine cards. There's 52 of those, matching the 52 weeks. Instead of using, you know, different suits, it uses animals. Very, very accurate as well. Amazing. The 33rd card, matching the 7 of diamonds, the 33, where again, March 16th was the day in question. It's a 7 of diamonds day. 33rd card, that's the weasel. Like, he's being a weasel. He's weaseling his way into doing things. Kind of like cutting corners. The weasel through numerology is the number 23. And this is where it gets extremely interesting. Is weasel is 23. The 23rd letter in our alphabet is the letter W. And that's a match of the abbreviation of the 74th element, tungsten, which is used to make filament for light bulbs, or at least it used to. So it can be linked to illumination. And that's a match to arsenic, because arsenic has that 74 as its atomic weight or atomic mass. So these two elements are in bed together. You know, and then, I mean, again, 74, 74, 74. You see? We're talking about the invisible enemy, right? March 16th was the day they came out with, we're at war with an invisible enemy. I mean, this one really, I laugh because it's funny. This is, if you go buy the book, the medicine card book, I mean, this is a great website, Advanced Soul Recovery. It has all the descriptions of all the animal cards. You know, I mean, these people that created these cards didn't sit down and try to figure this out for now. I mean, they made these a long time ago. But as fate would have it, the game of life is fixed. Look at the words they use here. It always gives a little story about what the card means. You know? the chiefs sent the weasel to the enemy camp to smoke them for power. It sent, think of what this is saying. The chiefs, which would probably be those who are in control of the coronavirus, they sent the coronavirus to the enemy camp, because they consider us the enemy, to smoke them for power. And then look at this kicker here. What are the medicines of the enemy? Isn't that what Trump said? It's an invisible enemy. And this card talks about enemy? What are the odds, folks? And that's why you owe it to yourself to take a further look at what I'm trying to express here to you. Is this: the game of life is fixed. It has to be. There's no other explanation for it. I got a couple more slides, 2 slides left, and here is the finale of this presentation. Here's another layer that I decode reality from. I take the spoken word of numerology, break them down into individual numbers through the letters, and then we bring in the alchemical elements that match up with those individual numbers. So invisible enemy is a 14-letter word. Here are the 14 elements that match up with each individual letter. And when we add all these up right here, folks, we go over to the trusty calculator and we add them all up, we get the number 98.124. And of course, the big standout always is on the masculine side of the decimal, right here, masculine, feminine, but masculine. That's a direct match of the 43rd element, 98.906, 98. 98, folks. Invisible enemy, 98. Why I'm showing this is because of this. The name is derived from the Greek word meaning artificial. We're at war with an artificial, invisible enemy. Here, take another look at the Royal Society of Chemistry and what they have to say about this element.
Technetium is the first element in the periodic table which is naturally radioactive.
So there you have it, folks. We're talking about radioactive, artificial, radioactive, invisible enemy. It's invisible, it's an enemy, it's artificial, and it's radioactive. What's invisible? What would be an enemy? And what would be radioactive? Yeah, that would be called 5G, folks. Because the definition of radioactive leads to radiation. And there you have it, folks. In my opinion, what Trump was trying to tell the world, because he's trying to get the karma off his back, he's fixed to tell you this. The invisible enemy is this right here. And more people are waking up to that fact. And it's going to keep coming on stronger and stronger. It'll probably die out because they have full control over it. As most of you might know, Elon Musk, he's been launching these low-level satellites called Starlink. Go Google that. They have thousands of them in the sky now, and they're capable of 5G technology. So there you go, folks. That's my presentation on the invisible enemy. And you tell me now what you think it is. You already know that the mainstream news has completely pulled the woolly over the world. And they've completely lied. And now that I'm showing you what the horse's mouth is telling you, but he's not telling you. He's telling you, but he's not, but now I'm telling you what it is. Is this the invisible enemy? Something you have to make a decision on, but I think it's freaking loud and clear. So what is it you saw during this presentation, folks? What did you see? Did I miss something? Something catch your eye? I'd love to know your comments. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, it is, without a question, what the invisible enemy is. That's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so very much for watching.